This is Wally James with KPFT in Houston, the Programs of Progressive Forum, and we are joined by Beto O'Rourke, who just gave a great speech here at the Train Museum in Galveston, Texas. Beto, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for coming out and meeting us out here. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement in this room, and it really feels like people are coming together to do what we need in order to win, and that's going to be going out and knocking on doors and carrying this message of hope and coming together and doing big things in Texas again.
And you really are reaching a lot of people doing this. I saw you earlier in the campaign, and you had so many people coming up wanting to take part in this. What does that feel for you that you're motivating all these people, that they believe in what you're doing?
It feels like we're in this together, truly. I mean, all these folks and I all chose to be here at this Train Museum in Galveston on this Tuesday evening, and we packed the place. But it's not just Galveston, it's not just Houston, it's not just the predictable and obvious places, as important as they are, because we cannot take them for granted. It's places like Bowie, Texas, or Pittsburgh, or Palestine, or Longview, or Texarkana, or Quanah, or Pampa, or Spearman. These are the kind of communities that, because Democrats have feared to tread in the past, Republicans didn't have to show up in order to win, and they haven't gone represented. No one's fought for them. We get to show up and connect with the issues that matter most to them. Supporting our public school teachers at a time that they're under attack, standing up for the LGBTQ community, doing everything we can to restore the protections for a woman's right to make her own decisions about her own body. That matters everywhere. And sometimes I will say Democrats write off Republicans or rural communities and say, oh, they're just, they're living in a different universe from me and my family. Nothing could be further from the truth. We care about the same things, but we got to show up for everyone if we expect them to vote with us and win this election. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. One of the things I want to ask you about, and that is health care. You have so many people that are going into bankruptcy. Their lives are being ruined because of a sickness. And so many people do not have decent health care, if any kind of health insurance at all. What do you plan on doing to help this?
The best place for us to start, something that's ambitious and also achievable, where I think there's a bipartisan consensus, is expanding Medicaid. As you probably know, we pay in our federal income taxes hundreds of billions of dollars. 10 billion of that will come back to Texas if we'll take yes for an answer on Medicaid expansion. It pays 90 cents on the dollar to expand coverage in the state for more than 1 million people. It will connect people with care. I just met a person in line whose daughter has diabetes. She's struggling to be able to afford insulin, which is nuts. Insulin was invented more than a century ago. It costs nothing to produce, and the fact that cost is an object for her and might very well have a child who is unnecessarily sick or even lose their lives is something that is unacceptable to me. Medicaid expansion would cover the gap that we have right now, but it's insufficient to the task at hand. We have to go further and supplement healthcare spending in Texas so that we go from 51st in mental health care access, for example, to number 1 in the country ultimately. It's the only way all of us are going to be healthy enough and well enough to live to our full potential, fulfill our promise, and be able to go to work, finish school, raise our family, do whatever we're supposed to be able to do. Healthcare is central to all of that.
It really is. And I've met people myself recently. I met a woman. She had diabetes. Her husband had diabetes. She wound up losing her leg almost all the way up because she did not have insurance and she could not afford it. And her husband recently died from his diabetes. And it just makes me crazy that this stuff is going on in this country, in this state. We got this medical center here in Houston. People from all over the world come here, but we can't do anything for these people here in Texas that are dying from this.
You look at the size of this economy in Texas, it's $2 trillion big. It's the 9th largest on the planet. The wealth that we have, the largest medical center anywhere in the world, and it's right not too far from here in Houston, Texas. We don't lack for resources or medical advancement or technology or people who can deliver the care. We lack for the political will to do the right thing. And, even if we are unmoved by the moral imperative to help those who need it at this moment, we should be moved by our own economic self-interest. It's not as though people who are uninsured don't get health care. They just wait longer to receive it, when complications from untreated diseases have made the symptoms much worse, the outcomes far worse, and the expense exponentially greater than it would have been otherwise. We all end up paying that through higher premiums on our insurance if we're lucky enough to have it, higher property tax bills, and lower economic performance from other Texans. They're not able to meet the mortgage note. They're not paying property taxes. Your share of the tax bill goes up. So the moral dynamic, the self-interested economic dynamic, any way you cut it, expanding access to health care to cover everyone is the right thing to do in Texas.
I know for you, as for a lot of us, the really big thing is gun violence. And we have a governor who is making it easier, as you said in your speech, making it easier for people to get guns instead of trying to controls that do. And assault rifles, there is no common sense reason why the average person should be able to come into a room like this and just mow down so many people. Can you tell us what your concerns are and what you would like to do about this?
Yeah, I'm concerned as a parent of 3 kids in the public schools in El Paso that our school year just started yesterday, and nothing has changed more than 9 weeks after the Uvalde shooting, where 19 kids and 2 teachers lost their lives, as someone who is able to legally in Texas buy 2 AR-15s and hundreds of rounds of ammunition at the age of 18. That AR-15 was designed to kill human beings and nothing else. So what we can do is either nothing, which is what the governor has done, or even make it worse, which he did last year by signing permitless carry into law that no longer affords us protections from people who carry guns in public, no background check required, no training whatsoever. Or we can do the common sense things that even gun owners and Republicans can support: universal background checks, red flag laws, safe storage laws, raising the minimum age of purchase from 18 to 21, or how about this? Removing the impunity with which gun manufacturers can sell these high-powered military weapons to 18-year-olds right now and not have to face any of the consequences or accountability for what they have helped to do, including in Uvalde. These are things that most of us can get behind in the state of Texas. Again, we only lack the political will in the governor's office to actually do it.
Something else I wanted to ask you about, and that is the grid, the power grid in this state. We are, we were all here during the big freeze and how that hit. And then now in this summer heat, there are people that cannot afford to keep their homes cool. What would you like to see happen about this? What would you do?
We know that people are dying in Texas because they cannot afford a utility bill. They are choosing not to turn on that air conditioner because on average utility rates have gone up $45 a month per ratepayer in the state of Texas. If you're getting by on $7.25 an hour, you're not getting by. You're probably working a second $7.25 an hour job. If you're also uninsured and you're having to self-medicate in order to be healthy enough and well enough to go to that job, you may very well decide, I'm not turning on that air conditioner so I can minimize my utility bill. Here's the answer to that. We go after the $11 billion that was stolen from us in February of 2021 when Abbott pegged the price of electricity at its highest possible rate for days. The pipeline CEOs, the energy traders made out like thieves, taking $11 billion in profit over the course of 5 days while people were dying, freezing to death in their homes. We go get that illegal profit back, return it to the people of Texas, invest resources in energy efficiency so that we don't have to run the air conditioner or the heater for as long, and then make sure that we lower utility rates as a matter of course to make it more affordable, literally to stay alive in the state of Texas, but also to be able to live, raise your family, do whatever you're here on this planet to do in the first place. Greg Abbott is the single greatest driver of inflation and high costs in this state. When we win this, we're going to bring that down. Okay. I know you need to go. You've got people waiting. But just one more thought, and that is that we have, you mentioned Republicans. You mentioned the average person. I have relatives. I have friends that are Republicans, and they are not like what we're seeing in the governorship. They do care, and they can be reached. And I'd like to see what
what you want to do to reach these people, because they're not being served any more than the rest of us.
That's right. I mean, traveling these very red rural counties, as I've just done over the last 2 weeks, these folks aren't represented because Greg Abbott, he thinks he's got them in the bag. He's sleeping on them right now. He's not delivering money for their roads, their water systems, where in some cases what comes out of the tap is literally undrinkable. Some counties where fewer than 5% of the residents have reliable broadband internet access. Try doing anything in this day and age if you cannot get online. By showing up and fighting for them, I'm there not as a Democrat, not as a Republican. I'm there to be their next governor and to make sure that they're treated with the respect that they deserve as our fellow Texans. We're in this for everyone. And as you heard us say tonight in Galveston, in Abbott's Texas, where he's trying to make you afraid of the immigrant or hate the transgender Texan, it's you or me. In our Texas, it's all of us. It's you and me. And I think that message, our focus on the big things that we want to do together, the willingness of more than 80,000 people to sign up, go out there and knock on doors and help meet the voters who are going to decide the outcome of this election, that's how we're going to win.
Beto, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's an honor to be with you.
You too.